Zolder in Belgium will host the finals of the 2018 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series over the weekend of the 20th and 21st of October. The fans flock to see some wheel-to-wheel action in the finals in 2017. With double championship points available, there'll be plenty of action on track. Who will follow in the footsteps of 2017 champions Tomo Ferrando and Alan Day, and who will lift the championship trophy? Welcome along to Circuit Zolder for the final rounds 11 and 12 of the 2018 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. It's the fourth time that Zolder has hosted the finals, first starting back in 2015. This iconic circuit that can trace its history back to the 1950s, first held Formula One in 1973, and even to this day has highlight championships, including this weekend, the finals of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. They'll shortly be heading out onto the circuit for qualifying, the 2.5-mile circuit, just over 4 kilometres. But before they head out for qualifying, let's have a quick look at an onboard lap with one of our drivers, Maxime Pampel.
Welcome race fans to Zolder. I'm Maxime Pampel. I'm going to show you a lap around Zolder. So now in the first straight line, hard braking, third gear, through the first left, through the exit of the corner, flat out, brake as light as possible, little brake, third gear, flat out, go, 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 pass the car, squeeze it through, and go to the Bianchi corner, the most important corner. Little brake, touch the curb, third gear, flat out now to the second straight line. Fourth gear, brake hard under the bridge, 3, 2, it's a Boutsen genuine chicane, left, right, flat out, let the car roll, over the bridge, under the bridge, the Villeneuve chicane, 3, 2, hard braking, right curb, left curb, very hard, squeeze through, flat out, just lift here a little bit in third gear, let the car roll, over the bridge, flat out, stay in third gear, now brake really late, second gear in the hospital corner, take a little bit of curb, go on the gas pedal, on the curb, go, 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 flat out to the last chicane, stay in third gear, brake a little bit earlier for the good exit, second gear, a little bit of curb, here also, and go flat out for the lap of Zolder.
Fantastic insight into a lap around this historic circuit here in Belgium, which with one of many Belgian drivers on the grid over the course of this weekend, it is poised beautifully well. The Elite 1 cars will be heading out for qualifying very shortly. It's going to be very important as to where the cars qualify. You can see them lined up there at pit lane exit, and the order in which they are lined up is based on the fastest times of the combined free practice sessions from yesterday. Fastest in free practice, and therefore at the very front of the queue, ready to head out, is the number 54 Toyota Camry of the reigning champion Alan Day. And Alan Day posted yesterday a time of a 1 minute 38.927. That is not quite as quick as the times we expect to see in qualifying. The lap record here in qualifying is a 1 minute 38.856, is the fastest time that we've ever had around here in qualifying trim. And you can see these fantastic cars all lined up in the pit lane. A few new drivers as well this weekend. Delighted to see that joining us this weekend as part of the NASCAR driver programme is the likes of Jean-François Dumoulin, who is coming over based on the driver exchange program. Our championship leader after the Tour in France, Fred Gabillon, went over to race in the Pinty Series over in Canada, and well, the flip side of that is that Jean-François Dumoulin, who races over in the Pinty Series, is over here this weekend, and he's got a busy weekend as well because he's competing in both the Elite 1 and the Elite 2 division as well. We've also got Dale Quarterly joining the Mishu Motors number 70 car for this weekend in Elite 1. Dale Quarterly, who we've seen out racing in a raft of other NASCAR series in the past. The 57-year-old who's raced in the K&N Pro Series and Pro Series East in particular more than anything. He's raced in the NASCAR Busch North Series as well, for which he was third in that in 2004. So it's nice to see some new drivers joining the championship. But in terms of the Elite 1 division and the drivers that are looking to try and secure a championship, well, coming into this weekend, it is the double former champion, Luca Lasserre, who is leading the championship. He's on 354 points, but only 2 points, yes, 2 points ahead of that man there, number 54, Alan Day, the reigning champion, who is on 252, and just a further 2 points away from that. It couldn't be any better poised coming into this weekend. Is twice a runner-up in this championship, but never the champion, Fred Gabillon, who is on 350 points. And even then, just a further 8 points adrift of that is Loris Hazemans, who is the leading driver. Also, we've got in the junior category as well. The junior category in the Elite 1 is for drivers aged 25 or under at the beginning of the season. So green flag waves, out they go. The way it works for qualifying, this is the first part of qualifying. So the top 12 cars after this first 10 minutes will go through to the Super Pole, and then that top 12 will fight it out for who is going to start on pole position. Remember, they're all limited to the number of tyres as well as they head out onto what is a beautiful day. You can see the sunlight glinting down on the camera position there at turn number 1, which is Erst, and then from there they head up towards Sterre Bocht before they then can really start to press the accelerator pedal and head around through Canal Bocht. But all of the cars limited to tyres, so they get 4 brand new Michelin tyres for this qualifying session. So the Elite 1 drivers go out of them as sticker tyres. The tyres, of course, will then be warmed and they'll remain on the car after the Elite 1 drivers have gone through, and they will be handed over to the Elite 2 drivers. So on their controlled tyres that they all run. It was Michelin last year, apologies, it's BF Goodrich for this year, part of the Michelin group still, so the compound remains the same. And then the Elite 2 drivers go out and they complete their qualifying. And once the qualifying is done and dusted, you can see Loris Hazemans already, the car sliding around as he went through the Jackie chicane there. Then after that, for the rest of the weekend, 2 of the new tyres go to the Elite 1 driver, 2 of the new tyres go to the Elite 2 drivers, and the other 2 tyres they need for the car have to be carried over from a previous round. Alexander Graf, absolutely sideways. This is the outlap, remember, but they've got to work the car hard on this outlap because it is such a short and sharp qualifying session, just 10 minutes of qualifying, and after that, the top 12 then go through to Super Pole. So heading in towards the braking area for the tight right-hander at Boulderberg, and then from there it's up the short straight and into this corner here, the Jackie chicane, before they can then really start to press the accelerator pedal. Onto the flying lap goes Loris Hazemans. Loris Hazemans, who won his first NASCAR Whelen Euro Series race last time out at Hockenheim. Remember, for the semi-finals at Hockenheim and for this weekend at Zolder, it is double points as well, so it's not the regular 40 you get for a win come the racing, it's 80. And on this technical circuit, which for the drivers that are new to Zolder this weekend, many of them being saying it is by far the most difficult circuit to learn that we've had on the calendar for this year. But talking to every one of them, without exception, they absolutely love it. So some of the cars still looking to try and warm the tyres a bit more. Loris Hazemans is pressing on. Driver who leads the junior category, lines 4th in the overall standings, so more than within a shout to be crowned the champion at the end of this weekend. The first job is get through qualifying, the second job is see what you can do in Super Pole, and then the 2 remaining jobs are score well in race 1, which is today, later on, score well in race 2, which is tomorrow, of course. So through the Villeneuve chicane, there goes, it looks as though the car that's second in the queue is Stinis Longines. There's the white and black car, that's Fred Gabillon. He's being chased around by Thomas Ferrando at the moment, and by the look of things, Alan Day, who was first out of pit lane, is sort of fifth in the queue at the moment, but has importantly found himself a little bit of clear tarmac, whereas Thomas Ferrando and Fred Gabion are going side by side by the look of things in towards the braking area for the tight right-hander, and that is going to delay both of them. There was almost contact between the pair there, so they really need to just find clear space. That's not what you want to be doing. That is going to compromise the lap for both of them. So here comes Fred Gabion now. So he is a driver that had been leading the championship but lost out with what was a difficult weekend really for him at Hockenheim. It could have been better, but damage in both races and didn't score as highly as ideally the Frenchman would have liked. Loris Haseman's, though, the first lap that he's put in was not a bad one. However, it is the number 11 car of Stinis Longines at his home circuit, of course, the Belgian driver that has headed on to provisional pole position, the number 11 PK Car Sports car in the hands of the former Elite 2 champion. He's topping the times at this stage, and that's just the first flying lap, so 1 minute 42.771 for Stinis Longines. Loris Haseman's at the moment is now third quickest, because it is Nicola Rocca rejoining the championship that's gone to the top of the time. So these two cars here heading in towards the cleaner chicane. Stinis Longines was at the top of the times, but the number 11 PK Car Sport car has now dropped down to second place. And Loris Haseman's, which is the number 50 car, is down to third. There, leaping over the curves, is number 54, Alan Day. That's the reigning champion. Alan Day's first lap was not a quick one, so he is actually outside of the super pole positions at this stage. He's down in 13th position, the reigning champion, but he's got that clear tarmac. There goes the number 54 car through the Villeneuve chicane. We can then start to really press on all through the gravel at the Villeneuve chicane. Was the man who went quickest on the first flag, that number 56, Nicola Rocca. Great to see him back in the championship, Nicola. And we'll be hoping for good things this weekend. Of course, remember, we've got our 2000 Monster Energy NASCAR champion out there as well, qualifying, Bobby Labonte, who yesterday was, I think, still trying to learn the circuit, in a brand new circuit to Bobby, as they all really have been other than Brands Hatch over the course of this season. And Bobby was a little lower down than he wanted in free practice. Let's see what he can do in qualifying. Another lap completed, and it is the number 11 car of Stinis Longines that goes back towards the top of the times, the number 50 car that he's chasing behind in terms of this qualifying pace. Loris Haseman's is now down into fourth, so perhaps Stinis Longines picking up the slipstream, and that was what allowed him to set what is a provisional pole time at this stage. Luca Lasserre has just gone second quickest at the wheel of the Bushu Motors number 33 car. Remember, Luca is a double former champion. He secured the championship back in 2009 and 2010, and for the moment he is provisionally second quickest in this session. Remember, it's not going to set the grid. The top 12 will go through to fight it out for Super Pole. And who's in 12th place at the moment? It's the British driver for Brax Racing, number 90, Alex Sedgwick, is the man who's on the bubble. He is in 12th position at the moment. Locked brakes so hard is Luca Lasserre trying at the wheel of the Bushu Motors number 33 car. The Mavi supported car pressing on. Stinis Longines for PK Car Sport still tops the times at this stage. Luca Lasserre has got himself behind Christophe Bushu, the Dexweck supported car, in the hands of the former Le Mans winner by the look of things. The number 66 car is Christophe Bushu into Super Pole. Yes, he is. He's 8th quickest currently, the Frenchman. Luca Lasserre is tucked up behind it. Now, Stinis Longines, having set a good time, some of the cars may opt to come into the pits if they're happy with the time they've posted, because what they won't want to do is take too much life out of the tyres for the Elite 2 driver, of course. So only 4 brand new tyres, BF Goodrich tyres, for the whole of the weekend. There goes Loris Haseman's back over the start-finish line. Still being chased by Stinis Longines, who's sitting in the slipstream, and Haseman's goes to the top of the times this time through. A 1 minute 39.538. 1 minute 39.538 is about a second slower at this stage than they managed for 2015, when Alan Day popped in the fastest time that we've seen in terms of qualifying. And Alan Day has just got himself second quickest in this session. So Stinis Longines, who was quickest, the number 11 PK Car Sport Chevy, is now down to third quickest. It's Haseman, the car that we're looking at now, the black number 50 car with the Dutch flag stripes down the centre of it, that has topped the times, but he's blended out of the throttle. He's allowed Stinis Longines to go through. That's on the run in towards the Jackie X chicane. And from there, in fact, no, that was on the run into the cleaner chicane by the look of things. So, yeah, this is the Villeneuve chicane. So I think Loris Haseman's is probably going to back out of this lap and just make sure that he saves the tyres. The clock ticking down. There's not much longer to go in this qualifying session. There's just a minute and 45 seconds to go, and then we'll see the top 12 who go through. It is still in 12th place Alex Sedgwick at the moment, and he's ahead of the hugely experienced Belgian driver at his home circuit, of course. Claims his only ever NASCAR Whelen Euro Series win here this time last year. Number 66, Mark Goossens, is 13th and isn't going to make it through to Super Pole if he stays where he is. So the two Brax cars squabbling over potentially the last place as to who he's going to get into and who is going to, rather frustratingly, miss out on Super Pole. Bobby Labonte is also destined, by the look of things, frustratingly as far as he's concerned, to miss out on Super Pole. He's sort of in the mid-20s at the moment, so he needs to find a big chunk of time. Some of the cars, as expected, are now heading down pit lane. There goes number 1, which is Carmen Buch-Gilles, back racing with Alex Caffey Racing this weekend, the reigning Ladies Cup champion, and leads the Ladies Cup in terms of this year's championship standings. Big gaggle of cars over the start-finish line, which includes Mark Goossens. That's the blue car with its day-glow yellow flashes. What did Mark Goossens do that time through? Not improve by the look of things. He did not improve, but somebody who did improve and goes to the top of the times, Alexander Graf, the Swedish driver for Memphis Racing, number 77. We just saw a flash of his car round through turn 1. Popped that car onto provisional fastest place in this first part of qualifying, which will please him and the Memphis Racing team. We have seen a win for Memphis Racing this year, but it was the Elite 2 driver, Guillaume de Flandre, that has secured victory in Elite 2. So the session coming to a close. Some cars still looking to try and press on and see if they can squeeze a bit more out of this qualifying session. But there is the number 77 Memphis Racing car of Alexander Graf. He has gone quickest. The time is a 1 minute 39.514. That's just 24 thousandths of a second quicker than Loris Hazeman's, as the checkered flag now comes out at Circuit Zolder. So that's the end of the first part of qualifying, the first 10 minutes of qualifying for Elite 1. And remember, while some cars are still out there on flying laps, the order inside the top 12, which is those cars that will head through to Super Pole, could still shuffle. Bouncing over the curves goes Fabrizio Amata, as he looks to see whether he can improve the time at the wheel of the Club Sports Ford Mustang, driver who's been racing sporadically in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series since 2013. Justin Koontz finishes the qualifying session. Has he made it through to Super Pole? There was a big improvement there, somebody leapfrogging through. I think that was Christophe Bushu, who has made it through to Super Pole. Thomas Ferrando we just saw head through, and he has actually gone quicker than Alexander Graf. So the number 37 Knauf car of Thomas Ferrando topping the times after the first 10 minutes of this qualifying session, and that will hugely please the Frenchman. It means that car there, Alexander Graf, is now second quickest in this qualifying session. But of course it's the top 12 that will head through for Super Pole. There is Thomas Ferrando, the number 37 Knauf car, the white car with the blue stripes right the way down the centre in the hands of the 20-year-old Frenchman. Finished third in Elite 2. Previously, he was the Elite 2 champion last year. And Thomas Ferrando was going to be very pleased with that, but know full well that that is only half of the job done. That is just the first 10 minutes of qualifying. There's still Super Pole to come. There goes Carmen Buch-Gilles. She's just taken the checkered flag. I think she was nearly the last of the cars to take the checkered flag, Carmen Buch-Gilles, and the number. So number 78 is heading through, which for this weekend, we've regularly seen that car being driven by Jerry Zivert in all of the previous rounds. For this weekend, it's Dylan Didala, and Dylan Didala is a bit of a star here in Belgium. The 26-year-old runner-up in the Porsche GT3 Cup Benelux last year. He was third in 2015. He was runner-up in the Belgium race car Pro Championship back in 2014. We've seen him claim his class in the Spark 24 hours, so he's got huge amounts of experience. So great to see Dylan Didala out over the course of this weekend. So then, the order after the first part of qualifying, i.e. the top 12 cars that will go through to fight it out for Super Pole. Number 37, Thomas Ferrando, was quickest. His time that he posted was a 1 minute 39.250. Second quickest was number 77, Alexander Graf, at the wheel of the Memphis Racing Chevy, 1 minute 39.514. Third quickest was number 50, Loris Hazeman's for Hendricks Motorsport with the Ford Mustang, 1 minute 39.538. And fourth quickest is the reigning champion, number 54, Alan Day, who was been the man to beat, really, here at Zolder over the course of the last few years. The Israeli driver with his Cal Racing Toyota posting a 1 minute 39.609. Fifth quickest is return to the championship, number 56, Nicola Rocca, going beautifully well at wheel of his Cal Racing machine. Then sixth quickest is number 11, Stinis Longines with the Camaro for PK Car Sport. Seventh quickest, man who is in there in terms of the championship standings, which is third in the championship currently, but twice a runner-up. He really wants to win this weekend. Fred Gabillon for RDV competition with his Toyota. Eighth quickest is number 78. We mentioned him, but going very well indeed, not scoring championship points, but Dylan Didala will be very pleased indeed with eighth quickest in the first part of qualifying. Ninth quickest was number 46, Justin Koontz for Racing Total with the Ford Mustang. 10th quickest, number 66, was Christophe Bushu. There are the order on your screen now. 10th quickest, Christophe Bushu for Deck Sweat Racing with his Chevrolet Camaro. 11th quickest in the end for number 90, Alex Sedgwick and Brax Racing. And the last car through to Superpole, number 33, Luca Lasserre. Of course, the man who leads the championship, so important that he made it through to Superpole and will, by the skin of his teeth, he made it through by, what's that, 61 thousandths of a second. The Bushu Motors car squeezed its way through into Superpole. So missing out on Superpole in 13th, Francesco Cini. Disappointed, I would have thought, to be only 14th quickest, Gianmarco Ercoli. 15th quickest, number 1 is Henry Tuamala. 16th quickest, number 2 is Kenko Miura. 17th quickest, a winner here last year, but missing out on Superpole, so starting 17th potentially on the grid for tomorrow, subject to there being any grid drops, at number 91. Mark Goossens, he will be very disappointed with that. 18th quickest was number 41, Fabrizio Armata. 19th quickest was then the next of the cars, but unfortunately the graphic just changes there, because already we are seeing the cars queuing up at the bottom of pit lane, ready to head out now for what is the Superpole session here. So looks as though Stinis Longines has got himself into the queue at the bottom of pit lane and will be the first to head out for Superpole. Remember, the lap record here is a 1 minute 38.856, set by Alan Day in qualifying for the 2015 Circuit Zolder finals. So it's the fourth time that Circuit Zolder have held the finals here. And it's not the only circuit though that we visited in Belgium, because back in 2012 it was Spa-Francorchamps that we visited. But certainly here at Circuit Zolder, Alan Day last year was very much a man to beat. He claimed the pole position, he set the fastest lap, and he won the first race of the weekend. He didn't win the second race of the weekend, though. That went the way of Mark Goossens. In 2016, we had two different winners. We had Anthony Cooper, who is here this weekend. He's acting as spotter for the number 24 car, but he was involved in an incident at Tour in the first Elite One race of the weekend, in which his car was heavily damaged, and that put the car out for the weekend. It's actually put Anthony Cooper out for the season, because he's still recovering. He's absolutely fine, but he tested the car and just felt as though physically it was still a bit difficult for him. So rather than on the basis of his championship has gone anyway after that incident at Tour, he opted not to race at Hockenheim. And even here at his home NASCAR Grand Prix, remember, Belgium this weekend, the former champion is again sort of sitting on the sidelines, double former champion at that. So he won the first race of the 2016 visit here. It was Fred Gabillon that won the second of the races. In 2015, which was the first ever visit here, it was double win for Alan Day. So Alan Day's had 3 wins around Circuit Zolder. Mark Goossens had 1, Anthony Cooper's had 1, and Fred Gabillon has had 1. Those are the Elite One driver winners. And of course, of those Elite One driver winners, there's actually only 3 of them on the grid this weekend. And Mark Goossens, as we say, has not now made it out to the Superpole session. So Superpole on, you can see the beautiful morning that we've got here in Belgium. The sun glinting into the camera, which is down at turn number 2. This camera looking back up towards Canal Bocht. And Stinis Longines is looking to try and get on it straight away. He's got a busy weekend ahead of him, Stinis Longines, because he's not just racing in Elite One this weekend. He's in one of the supporting races that we have here that are supporting the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Wow, bounces over the curves. The car absolutely launches into the air, and it really came down with a real bang at the back end there as well. That won't have done the suspension any good. It might not have done the differential any good. The way that car leapt into the air there is not the way Stinis Longines would want it. That's a bit more like it. Alan Day using just the right-hand side of the car to grab the curbs, whereas for Stinis Longines, the whole of the car, the whole of the back end leapt. It must have been, what, 3-4 feet into the air? Almost nosedived into the tarmac, so hard was he trying to push on this outlap, but looks as though he's rather got away with that moment, as he now turns his way up towards Boulder Bergbock. And then from there, it's the sort of left and the right kink at Jochen Rinckbucht. And then from there, in towards the Jackie chicane. So Stinis Longines about to start now the first flying lap of this Super Pole session, raising the dust on the exit of the corner to try and carry as much momentum onto the start-finish line as he possibly can. The PK Car Sport Chevy in towards turn number 1, so in towards the difficult left-hander at Erst. And then from there, use all of the curve, get back across to the left-hand side of the circuit for Starterbach Bock. And then from there, squeeze the throttle as you head up towards Kanalbock, which is where he has already made his way now. So Stinis Longines looking good at the moment. However, is it going to be good enough for pole position? Only time will tell. So Stinis Longines onto the brakes, in towards the chicane, which is where he leapt into the air last time through. Loris Hazemans also looking as though he's nice and neat and tidy as well. Out of Fred Gabion, the white and the black RDV competition Toyota Camry, the first of the Cal Racing cars heading up there, which is Alan Day. So the man to beat, beautifully taking the curves, but no more as he worked his way through the cleaner chicane. And up towards the Villeneuve chicane now comes Loris Hazemans. Again, nice and neat and tidy. Fantastic viewing spot. I went up to the Villeneuve chicane yesterday, and it's really, I think, going to be the one corner that's going to provide lots of action this weekend. You really don't realise just how much the cars move around. Alex Sedgwick was saying it feels almost pedestrian as you go through there, but rest assured, watching from the outside, you really get an impression as the cars bottom out as they turn into the first right-hander. They scrape their way through the left-hander as well. The sparks, the spits of flame from the Umber fuel coming out of the exhaust. It really is a wonderful, wonderful spectating spot. So Stinis Longines over the start-finish line. The first flying lap has come in, and Alan Day has popped in a 1 minute 38.322. 1 minute 38.322. That is half a second quicker, and now it looks as though Alan Day's time has gone even quicker. Right, okay, Alan Day has now been shown as doing a 1 minute 38.086. So the time changed there. It was showing a 1 minute 38.3, but I think that's been corrected potentially by the timekeepers. So a 1 minute 38.086, checker flag already out, is 0.8 of a second quicker than Alan Day's own lap record from 2015 qualifying. That is a sensational lap from Alan Day, and it does look as though, with I think all of the cars now having taken the checkered flag, it's such a short, sharp 5 minutes for Superpole. They only really got one flying lap in, and it is number 54, Alan Day, that will start from pole position. And that means that for Alan Day, each time we have visited Zolder, Alan Day has qualified on pole position, because he did it in 2015, he did it in 2016, he did it in 2017, and guess what? He's done it again in 2018. Alan Day starts from pole position for tomorrow's Elite 1 race. It says it's a Chevrolet SS, but it's a Toyota Camry that he's running this weekend. And it's going to be number 11, Stinis Longines, the former Elite 2 champion. His home circuit, of course, his home NASCAR Grand Prix that lines up alongside for PK Car Sport. Third quickest in qualifying, number 77, Alexander Graf, the Swedish driver, will be hugely pleased with that, as will the Memphis Racing team. You can see that those top three cars are separated by, just over 0.3 of a second. And fourth quickest is number 50, Loris Hazemans, the leading junior driver that we had for the under-25s. His Hendricks Motorsport Ford Mustang, fourth quickest. Fifth quickest is number 3, which is Fred Gabion for RDV competition. Remember, Fred Gabion is one of those drivers that is in the championship hunt, along with Alan Day and Luca Lazer, and, of course, Loris Hazemans as well, amongst others, because mathematically it's not just those four that can win it this weekend. Fred Gabion, fifth quickest, and sixth quickest, number 56, Nicola Rocca, doing a fantastic job, the Italian, with his Cal Racing machine. He has qualified sixth quickest. Luca Lazer, the championship leader, seventh quickest, so work to do from there in tomorrow's race for the double former champion. See what he might be able to do. Eighth quickest for number 37, another former Elite 2 champion, or the reigning Elite 2 champion in reality, for Knauf, Toma Ferrando. Ninth quickest was number 90, Alex Sedgwick, circuit he's never set foot on until 24 hours ago. He'll be hugely pleased with that, as he has qualified the Brax Racing machine inside the top 10. His Well, it says Ford Mustang, but again, that's running as a Chevrolet Camaro over the course of this weekend. The 10th quickest is number 66, Christophe Bushu, who we've seen sporadically throughout the course of this season. But when he has appeared with the Dexwec DF1 Racing Chevrolet Camaro, he's been very quick indeed. So the former Le Mans winner is 10th quickest. 11th quickest, number 46, Justin Koontz. Busy weekend for him as he races in both Elite 1 and in Elite 2. And wrapping up the last of the cars through into the Super Pole was the number 78 car, which is Dylan Didala. So that's the Elite 1 qualifying done and dusted. Of course, the rest of the grid from 13th onwards is formed as per the times that they posted in the first 10 minutes of qualifying. So it's, in other words, those that didn't get through to Super Pole, the grid was already set before the Super Pole session started. So we will now repeat this process for the Elite 2 division as well. So the cars are just being pushed back into the garage. The same 4 tyres will remain on the cars, whereas for the Elite 1 drivers, we saw them head out onto the circuit in a specific order. It was the order of the combined times from free practice from yesterday. I.e. whoever was fastest on the combined times for free practice was at the front of the queue. For Elite 2, there is no specific order. It's whichever order the cars finally get down to the end of pit lane. Matters not for Elite 2. They can go out in any order. But remember, the tyres are still new. However, they have now been through a heat cycle. They are warmed up. And therefore, for the teams and the drivers and the Elite 2 drivers, there's less work to do on the outlet. They'll still work hard to make sure that they can feel the car underneath them, but not quite as much to do to try and build the temperature in the tyres. The fans are ready. Big old crowd here for the first day of the 4th visit of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series finals. So you can see the cars just heading down pit lane. Now, maybe tyre pressure management had something to do with Alan Day's performance. He went from 1st to 5th on the outlap of the first part of the session, and maybe was just making sure that he didn't overwork the tyres early on, that he just got himself through to Super Pole and then was able to absolutely push for the Super Pole. As I say, at a circuit where he has continually been the quickest driver in terms of qualifying. He knows the circuit. He's already had 3 wins around this circuit, 2 in 2015 and 2 in 2017. Let's see what he might be able to do over the course of this weekend. So the Elite 1 division competitors now out of the way. The Elite 2 division competitors will be heading onto the circuit now. And Elite 2 is also, I mentioned Elite 1 was beautifully poised in terms of the way the championship works. Well, Elite 2 is very much poised beautifully well as well, because we saw the number 77 Memphis Racing car of Alexander Graf going well in the Elite 1 qualifying. That car's now being taken over by Guillaume de Flandre for this part of the qualifying session. And Guillaume de Flandre has been a winner in that very car. He's claimed 2 wins. He claimed 1 win at Brands Hatch. He claimed a win at Hockenheim last time out. He was also a winner here, took his first NASCAR Whelen Euro Series win in the finals at Zolder, Circuit Zolder last year. So 3 career wins, but 2 this year. And he leads the championship coming into this weekend. So watch out for the number 77 car come qualifying. Guillaume de Flandre is going to want to push on, because there's just 2 points separating himself from the lead of the championship with the car of Ulysse Delceau, the number 3 RDV competition Toyota Camry that was driven by Fred Gabillon in Elite 1 is now taken over by Ulysse Delceau, who is leading the championship until he had a poor weekend at Hockenheim. In particular, it was a puncture. He was leading the race in the second race at Hockenheim. Remember, it's double points for the semi-finals and for the finals. And, well, it was a puncture on the last lap, and as he headed into almost the penultimate corner on the last lap, he leant on what was the right rear a bit more that had got the puncture, and it spun him round and deposited him into the gravel trap. Otherwise, he could arguably have been on for 2 race wins that weekend. But because he didn't finish, he didn't quite score as well as he'd wanted. He lost the championship lead, having won the previous 3 races on the trot. And it means now there are just 2 points separating first from second in Elite 2 as we head into this weekend. Lying third in the Elite 2 division is Florian Venturi as well. And Florian Venturi, in terms of the way things went yesterday for him, not that great on combined times. He was only 11th quickest. That's largely because he only appeared in free practice 1 yesterday at the wheel of his number 32 Go Fast Racing Ford Mustang. Didn't appear in free practice 2, which for a good chunk of the drivers was the quicker session. So that's probably why he was only 11th quickest. There is the number 11 car that was driven by Stinis Longines in the Elite 1 qualifying session. So Florian Venturi is, 20 points off the championship lead. And remember, it's double points. There's 160 plus available for this weekend. There's 80 for the win in a race. There's 80 for the win in the second race. But there's also an extra 4 points available for the driver who gains the most positions over the course of the weekend. So if you say qualify third and win the race, that means that you gain 2 positions, and if nobody else gains any more than that, you could potentially walk away with 44 points for a race win. Mathematically, that would be very difficult to happen, but potentially there are not just 80 points available, there are 88 points mathematically potentially available for any one driver over the course of this weekend. So you can see this huge train of cars. The Elite 2 division had 25 cars appear out on circuit over the course of free practice yesterday. It was 29 cars for the Elite 1 division. So it's a busy old weekend, and you can see just how busy the pit lane is with team personnel. You can see one of our NASCAR officials, Joe Balash, there in the black coat, chatting away to the driver in the light blue overalls with the black hat. That's Tomo Ferrando, the reigning Elite 2 champion. Great to see Joe Balash once back here with us, who's been a great supporter, travels from the other side of the Atlantic to come and join us at every NASCAR Whelen Euro Series event, and hopefully get a catch up at some point with Joe Balash, whose official title is Director International Competitions NASCAR. He's a Charlotte-based employee, and so very much great to see Joe here again representing the NASCAR family. So the cars lined up at the end of pit lane. No indication yet as to when they'll be heading out. Should just be a matter of moments by the look of things, because the queue is fully formed of cars. The Elite 2 qualifying scheduled to get underway at 10:30 local time, and we're now just a matter of seconds away from that happening. In fact, we should see green flag at the end of the pit lane now by the look of things, because we've just clicked over to 10:30 and we can already now see, yep, bang on cue, absolute on time. Cars heading out. Same process as we saw for Elite 1, so it's a 10-minute qualifying session that will see all of the cars try and post as quick a time as they possibly can. The most important thing is that they post a time that sees themselves inside the top 12, because it is again only the top 12, as we saw with Elite 1, that will go through to fight it out for Super Pole and decide who's going to start on pole position for round 11 of the 2018 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series Elite 2 division. Of course, remember, both races will take place, the first race of the weekend for Elite 1 and Elite 2, later on today as well. So out onto circuit go the stream of cars. Again, the tyres that had been warmed up will have lost a little bit of temperature, as in particular will have the brakes. So there's, again, work to be done. And there is number 4. That is Jean-François Dumoulin. So the driver as part of the NASCAR Exchange programme, who's come over from the Pinty Series to join us this weekend. The French-speaking Canadian, the Spectra Premium RDV run Toyota Camry livery looks fantastic. They've done a great job to try and replicate the livery that he runs in the Pinty Series. The 42-year-old, racing in the NASCAR Canada Tyre Series, as it was called as well. He was the Canadian Supercar Series champion back in 2012. He's a Grand Am Cup champion some years ago as well. And it's great to see Jean-François Dumoulin here with us this weekend. We're going to catch up with him and grab some interviews that will pop out on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter over the course of this weekend, because the exchange program that exists in NASCAR is absolutely super to allow for Gabion to head over there and compete previously. And of course, Tomo Ferrando was out there competing at New Hampshire as well on the oval earlier on this year as well. So onto the flying lap. There goes number 2. That's Kenko Miura at the wheel of the Alex Caffey Motorsport run Toyota Camry. Japanese driver who has gone well this year, has Kenko Miura. We've seen him claim a couple of wins in the Challenger Trophy. The Challenger Trophy is for bronze or for silver graded drivers that enter Elite 1. He's when he's been out racing Elite 1, he's had a couple of wins in that. When it comes to the Elite 2 division, And the older drivers are running in what's called the Legend Cup, which is for bronze-graded drivers over the age of 40. So Kenko Miura is first to show. Let's see as to what the sector times look like. Not as quick as others behind him at the moment. It is Guillaume Dumoulin, the number 24 PK Car Sport Chevy, who is quickest in the first sector. He was quickest overall in yesterday's free practice as well. Guillaume Dumoulin is going to be one to watch out for. So there's a few drivers that do both in Elite 2 divisions. We mentioned Kenko Miura, who says has won the Challenger Trophy, but in the Legend Trophy, which is what we have in Elite 2, hasn't claimed a win in that. So Jerry de Vert has very much been the man to watch out for in the Legend Trophy. But also Justin Koontz, who competed in Elite 1, will also be out in Elite 2 as well. A few drivers with busy weekends ahead of them. So, first flying lap is about to come in for Kenko Miura. Let's see what the number 2 Alex Caffey Racing machine can do. Through he goes, and it's a 1 minute 41.788, but the sector time's not suggesting that that is going to keep him at the top of the times. At the moment, he is top, and unsurprisingly, on the first flying lap, it's the number 24 Guillaume Dumoulin driven PK Car Sport Chevy that now has headed to the top of the times. A few drivers just being forewarned, I gather, also with regards to track limits as well. So number 46 Justin Koontz just needs to watch out a little bit, keen to impress, but he's just stepped beyond the limit with the Racing Total machine. Kenko Miura's first flying lap has, at the moment, now seen him drop down to 7th position. It's this car here, Guillaume Dumoulin, the number 24 PK Car Sport machine, with double former champion Anthony Koontz acting as spotter for Guillaume Dumoulin, who's gone quickest. Look at the movement that Guillaume Dumoulin was having to put into the braking area there as the car was squirming around, trying to feel what the car was doing. Was Guillaume Dumoulin, who we saw claim a win earlier on this year. He hasn't done the full season, having missed out on Tour because, of course, of the incident that befell Anthony Koontz in Elite 1, wrote the car off for the weekend. It had to have a whole new chassis built up for that, and he's also very recently become a father as well as Guillaume Dumoulin, so he's been at home on parental duties, and this weekend is back behind the wheel of the car, and certainly in free practice was the man to beat. The best time we saw from Guillaume in free practice was a 1 minute 39.762 yesterday. Haven't quite got down to that. The first flying lap was a 1 minute 40.3 almost. Ulysse Delceau, who was the championship leader until Hockenheim, is second quickest, the number 3 RDV competition Toyota Camry, and third quickest at the moment is Felipe Rebelo, the Brazilian driver, the second of the PK Car Sport cars. So here comes Guillaume Dumoulin back over the start-finish line for the Belgian driver. What can he do this time through? Get himself well down, and I mean very well down, into the 1 minute 39. So 1 minute 39.096 for Guillaume Dumoulin is 3/4 of a second quicker than he went yesterday. Now remember, they are on all brand new tyres as well, BF Goodrich tyres for this one, and have been used for the Elite 1 qualifying session. There's Jerry de Vert, he's been the man to beat in terms of pacing the Legend Trophy. Number 56, which is, we just briefly saw, is Matthieu Greza at the wheel of his Cal Racing Toyota. Matthieu Greza is currently that little bit further down through the order. He's in 6th position by the look of things, but still safely on for Superpole at this stage. Who's on the bubble? Well, 12th quickest is the French-Canadian Jean-François Dumoulin at the wheel of the Spectre Premium Toyota Camry. He is 12th quickest, and right behind him, just missing out on Superpole currently, but there's still 4 minutes to go, is Tom Bowman, who we are hoping is going to join us in the commentary box later on. The former World Road Cycling champion, and of course a Belgian driver, lives in Antwerp as well, I think, does Tom, so very much his home NASCAR Grand Prix, not just in terms of the country, but in terms of the circuit that we're at in the country as well. So lots of squirming of cars as they head through the Gilles Villeneuve chicane. But it is still Guillaume Dumoulin, the number 24 PK Car Sport machine, that tops the times at this time. The Chevrolet Camaro. Justin Koontz has just gone second quickest. He was forewarned with regards to circuit limit, but the Racing Total number 46 car is showing second quickest at the moment, 1 minute 40.101. And a few cars already heading for the pit lane. That looks like Florian Venturi, number 32, is heading for the pit lane. Not surprised in reality, because he's third quickest. That should safely see him at the wheel of the Go Fast Racing Ford Mustang through to Superpole. As So Justin Koontz has also headed down pit lane, as has Guillaume Dumoulin. So all of the cars that are comfortable with their lap times, that it's going to see them inside the top 12 now heading down pit road. There's still 2.5 minutes of the session to go though at this stage, so it's not necessarily done and dusted. Guillaume de Flandre of the Memphis Racing number 77 car just goes 4th quickest, so that's a good lap put in by him. And number 56 Mattia Dreser has just gone 2nd quickest. So they may well be other cars that head down the end of pit lane at the end of this lap, because of course as soon as they have completed the first 10 minutes it's important to then get maybe some track position for Superpole. There goes number 11. That's the car of Felipe Rebello, who's 2nd quickest at the moment, so it could potentially be PK Car Sport cars 1 and 2 in the first 10 minutes of qualifying. Might they be able to lock out the front row of the grid come Superpole as well. Rebello, the only other driver at the wheel of the number 11 machine, down into the 1 minute 39 second bracket. 1:39.621 from Felipe Rebello. And remember, for Felipe Rebello, he's another driver that has claimed to win this year. It was in Italy, Franciacorta, for round 3 of the championship on the 19th of May, where he secured his victory. And that was a weekend that PK Car Sport will remember, because Guillaume Dumoulin also secured his victory there. It's a double victory for PK Car Sport in Elite 2. So we're now down into almost the final 70 seconds of this first part of qualifying before we see the cars head towards Superpole. Who's on the bubble at the moment? Well, Paul Guillaume, number 73, the Knauf Racing Ford Mustang, is 12th quickest. That means that Jean-François Dumoulin has been dropped down into 13th quickest and may well not feature for Superpole, frustratingly. Still pressing on is number 77, Guillaume de Flandre here, the Memphis Racing number 77 car in the hands of the championship winner, still heading up towards turn number 1. He's not opting to come in, so round through the left-hander Earth, up towards Storenbach Bocht, through the right-hander, which, talking to many of the drivers, they say sort of turn 2, turn 3, probably the most important corners on the circuit. Mattia Dreser at the wheel of the number 56 Cal Racing Toyota is still pushing on as well, launches over the curb, the front end of the car bounces up into the sky. That allows Wilfried Busenna to squeeze his way back through. Is Busenna through to Superpole? Yes, he is. Busenna at the wheel of the number 37 Knauf car is currently 6th quickest. Mattia Dreser at the wheel of the number 56 Cal Toyota that launched over the curbs is 3rd quickest, so both of those cars are safely through, and the checkered flag is now coming out as well. So who is 12th quickest? Paul Guillaume has taken the checkered flag and is 12th quickest, but other cars are still out there and on flying laps, so he's not necessarily destined to head through to Superpole here, Paul Guillaume. He's got to keep his fingers crossed. There's no more he can do. He's taken, according to our screen, he'd taken the checkered flag. The checkered flag's now sort of disappeared from the side of his name. So if anybody else is out there on a quick lap, and there are a few that are improving. Damage and flapping bodywork to number 70, that's Mirko Scholtes, the German driver at the wheel of his Bushu Motors number 70 car. It's just sort of the front right wing, isn't it, that's sort of hanging off that car a little bit. Mirko Scholtes, who we saw go beautifully well at his home NASCAR Grand Prix at Hockenheim last time out. He took a double win in the Legend Trophy for bronze graded drivers who are 40 and above, who join the Elite 2 division. A double win for him, and time for Mirko, I don't think he's going to see him through to Superpole. No, he's a long way adrift actually. He's down in 23rd position, Mirko Scholtes, but come the race, let's see what he can do in the Legend Trophy, which is what he'll be very much focused on. So there's still a few more cars to take the checkered flag. We've just seen the number 27 car come over to take the checkered flag. That was Pierluigi Veronesi, who has missed out on Superpole, 18th quickest from him. The number 9 car just flashing over, which is Simone Loretti, which is another car that is not quite going to make it through to Superpole. And there at turn 12, you can see yellow flags were there, and that is because number 10 has deposited in the gravel trap as well. So that is Dietrich Seissens, who has gone into the gravel trap at the Villeneuve chicane. By the look of things, he's sort of tried to get in there, carried a bit too much speed. I would imagine he's probably locked it up, tried to shortcut over the chicane and sort of plopped it into the gravel trap. So, looks as though Dietrich Seissens is going to need recovering out of the gravel, which might just delay the start of the Superpole session. So that's sort of, yeah, turn 12 we did have yellow flags, which was the Jackie Ick chicane, but that's turn 8 and 9 actually. Villeneuve chicane, so the recovery vehicle on hand to get the number 10 machine out of harm's way. The Racing Total Chevrolet will be dragged out of the gravel as and when all the rest of the competitors are safely back in pit lane. So the top 12 cars that will be heading through to Superpole whilst we clear the circuit here at Circuit Zolder. It's PK Car Sport cars that were first and second in terms of qualifying pace. Guillaume Dumoulin, quickest, 1 minute 39.096. Is there any more to come from him in the Superpole session? Just 5 minutes, remember, so it's only 1 or 2 flying laps at the most. Felipe Rebello, his teammate, second quickest, so PK Car Sport cars first and second. Third quickest, good qualifying session for number 44, the driver from Luxembourg, for Cal Racing, Gilles Linster. And fourth quickest, number 56, Mathieu Dreze will be really pleased with that, so it's PK Car Sports 1 and 2, Cal Racing 3 and 4. The championship leader, number 77, Guillaume de Flandre, is fifth quickest, so safely through to Superpole. Sixth quickest, number 46, Justin Koontz, his teammate in the gravel trap. At seventh quickest, number 37, Wilfried Busenna. And eighth quickest driver that's second in the championship standings. Maybe more to come in qualifying for Superpole from number 3, Ulysse Delceau and the RDV Toyota Camry. Ninth quickest is 32, Florian Venturi. Pitted very early, though, so he's got more laps left in his tyres to really try and push and see what he might be able to do. But he's the leading rookie driver that we've got in the qualifying session. Let's see what he can do come Superpole at the wheel of the Go Fast Racing Ford Mustang. 10th quickest and through to Superpole. Great session, he'll be pleased with that. Number 90, Pedro Bonnet. Again, Belgian driver, local NASCAR Grand Prix for him. He'll be very pleased indeed, as will Brax Racing. And completing the top 11 is number 2, Kenko Miura, the first of the cars that we saw out in that qualifying session, but he's safely through to Superpole at the wheel of his Alex Caffey Racing Toyota Camry. And the final car through to Superpole, we saw the onboard lap with him. Number 7, Maxime Pampel for the Belgian Driver Academy Chevrolet Camaro is the last of the drivers through to Superpole. So we can see the cars now queuing at the end of pit lane, and it does look as though number 24, Guillaume Dumoulin, who's almost the first of the cars into pit lane, has rightly so positioned himself, and that's the important thing. Get the quick lap in nice and early. You get the quick lap in early in the main 10-minute qualifying session. You can then leave the session early because you know you're safely through to Superpole. And once you're down the pit lane, don't stop where your pit box is. Go right the way to the end and wait for the team to service you there and check the tyre pressures and do whatever they need to do, because the important part of Superpole will be coming up very, very shortly indeed. And this will decide as to what the top 12 positions on the grid look like. And it now looks as though we go green, and therefore the cars head back out onto the circuit. So Guillaume Dumoulin is first out. Ulysse Delceau, the white and black RDV competition Toyota Camry, is second out into Superpole. There goes Felipe Rebello, the number 11 PK Car Sport car. He could be one to watch in this one. Guillaume de Flandre. Then it is Wilfried Busenna, Mathieu Dreze. And they still keep filing up. There's Kenko Miura, there's Gilles Linster, there is Maxime Pampel, and there is Justin Koontz. So the 12 cars already out onto circuit. And remember, an outlap here takes the best part of nearly 2 minutes, and it's only a 5-minute Superpole session. So if you're at the front of the queue, you are without question going to get an outlap and 2 flying laps in before you see the checkered flag. If you're like Justin Koontz and you're at the back of the queue, you'll get your outlap in, you will get 1 flying lap in, but you might not make it round to get a second flying lap in before the checkered flag comes out. So that is the importance of getting the quick time in nice and early in the first 10 minutes of qualifying, so you're then at the front of the queue to try and get as many laps out of the Superpole session as you can. It could be the difference between starting on pole and starting on the outside of the 6th row of the grid. Hugely, hugely important. And remember, the races are scheduled to be held over 16 laps as well, which is just under 64 kilometres. Problems already for Kenko Miura. That is a disaster for Kenko Miura. Looks like there's some sort of mechanical trouble with the car. The car all of a sudden just started to slow up and has now pulled off the circuit. So Kenko Miura is talking to the marshals and is not going to set a lap time in this one. So over the start-finish line, the thumping great big 5.7 litre V8 engine, 400 brake horsepower machine of Guillaume Dumoulin heads up towards the left-hander. Already safely through Erst he goes as Kenko Miura's car is pulled out of the way. A few questions coming in as well. Is that what are the difference between the divisions? Well, the difference between the divisions, in Division 1, it's largely sort of the pro drivers in reality. So it's the pro drivers that sit there in Division 1, and it's the amateur drivers and the younger drivers that sit there in Division 2. And then, of course, we also have the Elite Club as well, which is a separate division which we don't televise currently on our screen. But they competed yesterday, and Avik Dioda was the champion for this year. That is for aspiring drivers. It's not race conditions. It's all about building drivers up so that they understand how to lap consistently. They are given a regulatory base time that they have to try and achieve, and then they have to go out there and try and get as close on as many laps as possible to that time. Which means that, you know, if you're slow at one part of the circuit, you need to speed it up on the other part of the circuit. It's all about consistent lapping. And depending on how close you are to the bogey time you're given in Elite Club, that dictates how many points you get. And Avik Dioda has been the most consistent lapper in the Elite Club. I'm sure we've seen him out in Elite 2 over the course of this season. I'm sure he will look to try and progress into Elite 2 as one of the amateur drivers next year. And then, of course, after that, as we've seen with so many of them, the likes of Gianmarco Ercoli, the likes of Stinis Longines, the likes of Thomas Ferrando, and others then graduating out of Elite 2, becoming the pro driver, and into Elite 1 as well. So there goes over the start-finish line Guillaume Dumouriez, one of the drivers that's looking to do exactly that, maybe head up to Elite 1 next year, and straight away has popped a very quick time in for a first flying lap. That is an impressive lap, Guillaume Dumouriez. 1 minute 39.227 is only a quarter of a second off the time he posted in the main qualifying session. Now remember, the tyres will have cooled down a bit. They'll have had another sort of heat cycle as well. They've had a few more laps taken back out of them, and that was his first lap. So he will squeeze another one in. Is it going to be any quicker than that one? We'll wait and see. Over the start-finish line now goes number 90, Pedro Bonet, and there's only 48 seconds to go on the clock, so he's got one flying lap in. He will get two, but there's a big chunk of bodywork missing off the back end of Pedro Bonet's car. I just spotted that. The whole of the back bodywork is missing. I think it's probably just come adrift. It doesn't look as though there's any damage there. So it just looks as though maybe that bodywork has come adrift. Bouncing over the curves goes another 37 car there, and that is Willy Busenna. Willy Busenna is a man who has claimed a championship before. When we were badged as the Race Car Euro Series back in 2009, Willy Busenna was the champion then, in the very early days of this type of racing over here in the UK, which of course has had the NASCAR badging since the 2012 championship season. Willy Busenna is a former champion, and the number 37 car is just turning its way now round through towards the end of the lap, whilst Guillaume Dumouriez is heading up towards the checkered flag because the clock has already ticked to zero. In fact, he's aborted the final lap. He's happy with the first flying lap, so keeps his fingers crossed now. Can he head towards pole position, because some cars are still continuing round at this stage. So Guillaume Dumouriez aborted the lap. Here comes now at the start-finish line, Ulysse Delceau. Is he going to improve his time? Didn't look as though he did. What can Felipe Rebello do? No, he did not improve his time. Willy Busenna goes through and doesn't, but Mattia Dresa does and gets himself onto the front row of the grid. In fact, Willy Busenna did improve as well. Dresa goes second quickest. Willy Busenna is third quickest. And the rest of the cars all flashing their way over the start-finish line to take the checkered flag, including Maxime Pampel, who cannot improve upon 10th. There goes Justin Koontz, who cannot improve upon 7th. And the last of the cars, Pedro Bonet, does improve. He was 11th. He goes up to 10th, does the number 90 Brax Racing Machine. The Chevrolet in the hands of the Belgian driver. You can see that rear bodywork missing off it. Not sure where it was, but yeah, there'll be some marshals somewhere with some bodywork to return to the Brax Racing team at the end of this session. So for Guillaume Dumouriez, driver who had to sit out the previous few rounds with a mixture of his car being involved in an accident in Elite 1 at Tours, which meant that he didn't compete at all at Tours in France. He then recently became a father, which meant that he had to sit out the Hockenheim round, and he returns back behind the wheel of a car for his home NASCAR Grand Prix. And, well, it's as though he's never been away, isn't it, really, for the Belgian driver. He pops the number 24 PK Car Sport Chevrolet Camaro onto pole position for today's Elite 2 race that we'll see later on. The cars just feeding their way back into the pit lane area, and then we'll run you through the top 12, the way that they will line up for our race later on over the course of the day. It wasn't quite a PK Car Sport 1-2, it was for the first part of qualifying, but well, it looked as though Felipe Rebello didn't quite hook the lap up in Superpole, and therefore he will start down in 5th. And for that man there, poor old Kenko Miura, we know he's going to be 12th because the car failed him on the outlap. Frustrating end to Superpole for the Japanese driver, but we'll see what he can do come the racing later on today. So the top 12 then, it was number 24, Guillaume Dumoulin for PK Carsport with his Chevrolet Camaro that set the pace, 1 minute 39.227. That is half a second quicker. Yes, half a second quicker than number 56, Matthew Reza, was able to do with his Cal Racing Toyota, as it is. It says Chevy, but it is actually a Toyota Ford this weekend. And third quickest, number 37, for Knauf Racing, Willy Busenna with his Ford. There's another Ford that's fourth quickest, Florian Venturi, the number 32 Go Fast Racing Machine. And fifth quickest is number 11, Felipe Rebello, the second of the two PK Carsport Chevys. Ulysse Delso, who is second in the championship, only 2 points off the leader, only sixth quickest in that particular one, but sounds as though he'd be disappointed. He won't, because the championship leader is behind him. Sixth quickest for Ulysse Delso for RDV Competition. Seventh quickest, number 46, which is Justin Koontz for Racing Total. And eighth quickest, the championship leader, Guillaume Defrendre, a race winner here this time last year. He claimed his first NASCAR Whelen Euro Series win when he was racing for Racing Total, but he's going to have some work to do from there, and we'll guide you through all of that action later on today here at Circuit Zolder. So the cars are making their way back into the pit lane area. We will see them back out for racing later on today. Don't forget that the first race of the weekend is the Elite One final. We are scheduled to go live with the stream at 2 p.m. Central European time. That is 8 a.m. Eastern time if you're watching over in America. And that's for the Elite One final. The Elite Two race, we've just seen qualifying, they are back out at 4:50 p.m. at Central European time. That is 10:50 a.m. Eastern time. So thanks for joining us at Circuit Zolder. We look forward to seeing you later on today for more racing from the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series.
Zeker de moeite waard om deze bolides van dichtbij te gaan inspecteren. Half uur dus van 12 uur en 10 tot 12 uur 40. We gaan nog even verder vooruitkijken met de kwalificatie van het Belgian Endurance Championship van 13 uur en 5.